that was kind of the first viral thing that got picked up that I do. And again, that's just probably more of a perfect example of concentrating for me more about the ride than the actual trick. The trick for me in the Lifesaver is secondary. I'm not concerned about the trick of it. It was more of the ride, and what really influenced that was kind of again now getting back to what I had said earlier. Having a song and having an idea of what I want to do, but not necessarily having the vehicle to get there. For a long time, I remember seeing Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs when I was like 11 years old, and the ear scene with Michael Madsen really disturbed me at that age. I mean, it's still disturbing to grown-ups, let alone, a little kid that's probably too young to be watching something like that. And I just thought that was so grotesque, but yet so cool at the same time, how Quentin Tarantino mixed Steelers Wheel with this guy getting his ear cut off and tortured and gasoline poured on him. And it was like, so the dichotomy was just really cool. And I wanted to create stuff like that with magic, to create something, mix something that's so innocent and so childlike, for lack of a better word, that magic tricks, so childlike and so innocent, but maybe incorporating some sort of, dark humor behind it. Stuff that, using magic to, what if a magician used magic for bad instead of good? So many guys are using magic for good, making, these, scantily clad ladies appear and whatnot, and, all this stuff. What if there was a magician that used it, the opposite? And at 11 years old, that's what I started really kind of thinking of and wanting to kind of go in that direction, because it just for some reason it just fit with me. I've always kind of leaned towards the villains or something. When I was a kid, I wanted to be Captain Hook. I wanted to grow up and literally be Captain Hook. I didn't know that you couldn't do that, but at the time I did. I wanted to be Captain Hook, and so those are the kind of things that influenced that particular routine with the Lifesaver and everything. It's just mixing the the fun happy music of magic moments, but then all of a sudden, you're not really sure what's happening, and then before you know it, now there's just this disgusting visual of, my throat being cut open with the dental floss, and then right as you're about maybe ready to vomit, I pop it back out, and now it's restored, it's whole, and the ride's over, The Voo Doo tongue is actually, it's a gag I do in my show where I stick a skewer through my tongue, and it's just a gag bit. That's not something I necessarily pass off as magic, but it's kind of a gag that I show that you can do. Because in my show I usually try and show something that the audience can go home and do to like freak out their brothers or sisters or mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. And the Voo Doo tongue is something that is a really freaky looking gag. That that you can you do to freak out the neighbor kids or whatever. I'm a grandpa, like I said, it's a good one for the dinner table. So I used to make them. I don't anymore because I don't have time for it. But I have some friends who create Halloween prosthetics, make it for me now, and it's a weird freaky thing. that's fun to do. Kind of getting back to, how I teach, usually like one kind of messed up, weird magic trick that, you can do. A lot of times I get, emails, almost, I don't know, at least a handful a week from fans saying, I want to learn how to do stuff. How do I start? Where do I go to learn? And so, I started, thinking about it, and I compiled about a dozen kind of gross tricks and actual real tricks as I, was on the road. And I'd, record these backstage on the tour bus, different places. Something as simple as, the old way of cracking your nose by putting your thumbnail under your front tooth and just kind of sticking it. I don't know, people have done that. But that was something that, I remember as a kid as just a joke. Doing that and then taking it a step further and actually showing, look, I can take my thumb and first finger and grabbing the bridge of your nose and twisting it and you can actually hear it cracking, like a loud crack. And then stuff just as simple as a card trick, or a simple trick that makes it seem like you can read somebody's mind, and just compiling them all on this DVD, so there's a little bit of something for everybody, and showing that it's stuff that you can really do with pretty much you already have at home. You don't have to go out and buy anything fancy. If you have a pair of scissors, some Scotch tape, and a paper cup or whatever, you can make what you need to do this trick. And so I'm doing it, like I said, on the tour bus, at a coffee shop, backstage, for different people and stuff like that. And I just compiled it and threw in some clips of my live show, some of the TV stuff that I did, and it's been a huge hit. There's a lot of just real crazy fun magic tricks. It's super simple too. It's the other thing. This stuff is stuff that you don't need a lot of practice. So if you just want to learn something just for fun, that you want to show your friends or whatever, if you're out in a bar or something and just hanging out, you can grab something right there and just freak them out just for the heck of it really quick. It's not a lot of practice needed, not a lot of setup, things like that. That's kind of what made me kind of want to compile it. And most of the time too, people I've wanted to know where they can learn more, where can they get video, stuff like that. So I, much like a band sells their CD, I compiled a little DVD that I sell after my show. Basically, My Tricks is a magic news website. The magic world's small, but we have to communicate somehow, and there's the internet, so that works. And it just compiles news from all over the world about different things, and they post videos of stuff that's coming out that guys are working on, and they do podcast interviews and stuff like that, and next news of the week recap, etc. And I've been a guest on that. And about a year ago, they asked me to host my own weekly live show. And in my very self way, the Dan Sperry way, the show got pretty controversial. I mean, there was a puppet sodomy on it with a wrench and all sorts of other just weird stuff. I would call out magicians that were ripping off other guys, because magic in a way it's kind of like, maybe like dance choreography. If somebody comes up with a move, somebody else might steal that and try and claim it as their own. So if I knew there was some shady business going on, I had no reservations about calling them out on it on my live show. So it got pretty interesting for a while, and unfortunately it just got super difficult to keep up with it due to my schedule. And then here comes America's Got Talent, and then that just blew up and put me from 0 to 60, and it just got way too difficult to keep up with it. But maybe it'll come back someday, or in a different form. It was a lot of fun being able to interact with fans through a webcast like that, and it was just so unpredictable. There's so much craziness that could go on and happen, and I'd love to do it again, but unfortunately, I don't know when that's going to happen. But like I said, hopefully soon, and we'll just have to see what happens. But it was a lot of fun, and yeah, so that's unfortunately it's gone away in hibernation for now. But like I said, maybe it'll come back.